Hey folks, hi, good evening, and welcome to this discussion on the challenges on Digiyatra, housing, and Swiggy. It's been a while, I think about 3 weeks back is when we did the last discussion. And one product gets dropped, kind of, we've not covered in this one, which is around the Olympics and Google search. So we'll see when we can pick that up, but for now, we'll focus on these three. And about in the next 20-25 minutes, we'll run through the winners and some of the points that we wanted to discuss, which obviously on the group is not completely possible. We'll also cycle through some of the honorable mentions. Both, in fact, all three of the challenges had a lot of good quality submissions which did not make it to the winning entries. So we'll show those to you as well so that you can have a look at that. Okay. So let's get started. The first one is Digiyatra. And in this challenge, the main thing is that you need to be aware of the context of where this product comes from, right? So obviously there's a bias towards people who already are aware what Digiyatra is and what it does and have used it. So it becomes easy for them to understand, what are the challenges that exist in the screen that is shown, right? From a user's perspective. But for those who are not aware, either they've yet to experience the app or they're yet to fly or, different context, not in this country, no, they're based outside India. Digiyatra is a product basically which, at least in my mind, maybe I'm wrong in that sense, is a replacement for your physical boarding card and also your physical ID, which is needed, mandated at all Indian airports, right? So if you go outside India, this is not the case, right? You don't need to prove your identity before entering the airport, right? In fact, it's just the passport that is needed as far as I'm aware, and that is international travel. So in India, the concept is that before you enter into the airport, the actual main terminal building, you need to prove your identity, and there you have a posted personnel who actually looks at your ID. So this is meant to replace that in the sense that it is tied up with a token. So the token is created basis your boarding pass and an ID that you've already put into the Digiyatra app. So this is for the people who don't know of it. And those who haven't tried it out, I would say, unless you have a lot of issues with the data privacy, because this product or slash company has had issues very recently with it. And remember, this is not a government company. It's like they call it a organization. I don't know what the exact term is, but it's not. It's a for-profit company, is what I understand. I may be wrong on that, but it's not a government entity. So it's not the government. Right? This data is going to a certain company. So unless you have an issue with that, I would say do try it out just from a UX perspective to understand how boarding can be a pleasure. At the same time, with the current one, what are the challenges, right? So as I said, there is a context to this piece. If you use the app as just for the purpose of showing it as an ID and you don't need to take out a physical ID, then I think it is okay. But if you look at it from the overall context, right? What is the overall purpose? I think it's a replacement for the boarding pass completely. So basically, the minute you booked your ticket and you have your boarding pass generated after check-in, you should not be looking at your ticket or your printed physical boarding pass in case you did it, or physical printed, or even the digital version of it, right? That is the idea. That should be the goal if you're a product manager at Digiyatra or in a similar space, right? The user or the customer or the traveler, as you want to call it, or the flyer, should not look at the boarding pass at all, right? And obviously should not need to take out the physical ID for verification, right? Or even a digital ID for verification. That should be the goal. But presently, that's not the case, right? Presently, so the pass that you see is for a travel trip that I recently did. I definitely looked at in fact, I purposely printed a physical boarding card also because I was not confident. The app did not give me the confidence that this is a boarding pass and this replaces my existing way of, going through the journey. Yes, I did not have to show my ID anywhere because I had scanned my face. But that is the level to which you need to get to, right? So today is not the case. And hence, basis that once you start thinking that way, you then need to think that, acha, if I have to replace a physical boarding card or a digital boarding pass, what is it that I need to show on, like, first of all, who the user for this is, because there are two users. One is the person who's flying, and the second is the machine to which that information has to be shown. No human is going to be shown that, right? So at no point, maybe if you're checking in, maybe you need to show it to the airline company, but if you're directly boarding, you don't need to show it to any human being, right? So in this case, the information that needs to be shown needs to be very, very clear, right? And again, there people who've flown would know or have used Digiyatra would know. So we've kind of categorized it. Maybe we're missing a few things, but for sure these are the information that is needed when I'm trying to, at least when we and Nishit were trying to understand what is the information that needs to be shown. This is the information that is needed. Everything apart from these 5, 6 fields, obviously the QR code is the main thing because that is how the scanner works, right? But flight information, the date, the time of the boarding, as well as the time of departure, both are important, and the boarding gate, right? So a lot of you have not mentioned that. We in fact gave it away as a clue in the context, but these are the information that do matter and at all times should be handy to the user. What is not useful for me is my own photo, right? Some of you have put up your own photo, as in the person who's flying. I don't want to know my own photo. I don't want to know my own name, because why would I want to see Akshay with the other candidate, right? Of course, it needs to be there for legal purposes. That is a separate thing. But if you have to design an ideal boarding pass, which is to be shown to a machine, and I'm using it myself, then maybe it's not needed. Maybe a smaller prominence is needed for that, right? So that's why not important is what we're saying. Maybe it's not something that needs to be dropped, but it's not that important, right? So what is not important is the name, the sequence. For some reason, there's a sequence. I don't know. Even today, I don't know what that sequence means. There must be a verbiage that is used internally. So sequence, add boarding pass. Yes, there's a huge prominent. So as you can see, right? Add boarding pass. These details are absolutely not important when you're actually going through that journey of a traveler, right? Add boarding pass, all of that credentials, all of these nudges are not at all essential, right? So with that context, you need to see what the winning submissions are, and with that context is how we approached it. Because if you don't have that context, then there are a lot of other fantastic designs that didn't make it. We'll show some of them, but this was the winning entry, and this was a fantastic work done. I cannot remember the name because the person used an alias. I think it's someone. I think it's Sumit or somebody. I don't recall the name, but we reached out to the winning person and we do know the name. But on the group also we mentioned the alias that the person had used. So fantastic. It has, if you can see, right, it has, now that you get the context, it has all the information that you need, almost no information that you don't need, and decent prominence is given to the boarding pass as well as tap to enlarge, because this has to work. This is actually the boarding pass. This is for you, right? This is me as the flyer that I need to see, and this is the information that the machine needs to see. This is all that matters. Everything else is additional, extra, or not needed, right? That said, there are a couple of points that I'd like to mention, which we've mentioned in the problem statement as well, which relates to nudges and things that you need to do. I'll come to that at the end after I've cycled through the other submissions and the winners, right? So this was the winner. This was the second place. Sorry, my background is also black, but on a white background, this comes out very nicely. So it's actually merging here. But yeah, this was a dark theme kind of one. Again, fantastic work. Just hits all the elements that are needed in terms of information that needs to be shown, deprioritizes the information that need not be shown, right? One thing that he's done very well, and this one is from Shekhar, is that he's done a green tick here at the top, right? And this green tick kind of shows as an indicator that you added your credential and it's a verified credential, right? So there are two parts to it. You need to add your credential also for that boarding pass to work at the airport. So he's done that very subtly, very nicely, very clean design. Obviously, a massive improvement from what exists, right? But yeah, this has all the information that you need from a true boarding pass perspective as a replacement to what I would do for a ticket / boarding pass at the end, right? So these were the top two, and I cycle through the other ones, right? This is from Arco. So obviously, from a design perspective, this feels like a mess, but I would like to give him credit for taking the point on nudges seriously, right? So what do I mean by nudges? When we said nudges, the point is that if this becomes the boarding pass for you and all your journeys from now onwards, and I'm assuming they'll go into train travel as well eventually, because it's the same infra, right? In trains also they'll say in trains, in fact sometimes the TT now it doesn't, but earlier they used to ask you the Aadhaar card when you're seated, right? So if you see the overall landscape, like a 5, 10, 15, 20-year version of this, what this is a replacement for all tickets. Now all tickets are digital, your identity is digital, you don't need to show. Like you had the COVID vaccination drive, right? It was a digital drive. There was a physical part to it, but there was a digital drive which was enabled via COVID platform, right? This, if you draw that analogy, you'll understand that this becomes a very important property, because every passenger who is booking a flight or say a travel journey, and I'm extending it slightly, will look at this particular page throughout their journey, at least from the initiation till the initiation of their journey. So suppose I have a flight tomorrow, from now till I've reached my seat, I'm going to look at this page again and again. So this becomes a fantastic place to monetize commercially, as well as improve certain information that the person might want, right? So related to the airport. So if you can see, he's done a fantastic nudge here. Open Bangalore airport's internal map. It's a complete possibility, right? This could happen today. It may not be that easily available, but I'm sure in US airports and some other airports internationally, you'll have maps that Google already has data on. I don't think T3 has this, but yeah, this is a good concept. Overall, what he's got a clear sense of is the nudges part. So this, one of you had reached out to me and said, I've tried to highlight the nudges, but I did not get prominence. But this is taken to the nth degree. Very well done. But the problem with this is when you compare it to the winners, the main focus should be here, right? What happens here is the main focus, 60% of the screen almost goes to elements that don't matter. So how do you do that balance, right? If you could do this and that, that would be fantastic. But we gave priority to at least do the function part first, which is, having the QR very, very easily visible, having the gate information very easily visible, and at the same time avoiding clutter. This kind of becomes a little bit of a clutter because of the colors. Maybe if you just tone down the colors a little bit, I think this would be very close to a winning entry. So excellent work, especially on the nudges arm, right? Again, very clean design. This one is from Devansh. Very nicely done. Again, I think this was a close third if we had a third, right? I think one information field, I cannot recall which one it is exactly. I think it's the time of the aircraft, or one of them was missing in this. So he said, hey, between these three, this one kind of, takes lesser precedence, but fantastic work. As you can see, very, very nicely done, very clean design. These top three, actually, this and the other two had absolutely very, very clean designs. The others had certain elements that were, acha, this could have been 20% better in terms of design. So I'll just cycle through this. This again, nudges wise, very nicely done. See directions. It's time to head to the gate to board. This submission is from Harsha. So has taken the point on nudges very, very nicely. Has come out very nicely in terms of the nudges. But overall, if you see, when you compare to the others, maybe it becomes a little bit of a clutter for the customer or the passenger to understand. Right? At the time of boarding and at the time when it's a high stress situation when you go to the airport. Right? There's a lot of case studies on that, in fact. Maybe on a side track, if we could discuss, we'll come to that, right? I'll just speed up because I see that a lot of time has been spent on this. Okay. Another very nice entry. So there's nothing wrong in any of these other entries, just that the first two were so much better than the others. It took a lot of time for us to come to. So no things to, say that this is bad or something. But yeah, subtly that was, those two were better. One thing that maybe could be dropped here if you had to drop, because too many colors don't work at that moment when you want to see the information that you need, is these images, right? They increase the loading, they increase caching, etc. Things that you need to do. It doesn't add much value, so maybe it could have been dropped. Ixigo kind of does this, so I can get the analogy, but maybe in this use case, it's not needed. Right? Again, very nice submission. This one is from, I think, Ruthvik. Just that the alignment here could have been slightly better. Minor points, and there's a lot of space here which could have been used. So the nudges point could have been, since you have done a great job on putting the boarding card information together so quickly and in such a small space, maybe you could use this space slightly better rather than keeping it blank. No harm in keeping it blank, but since we wanted to see nudges, maybe it could have been used in a better way. I really like this submission. This, in fact, was originally my number one, number two kind of thing. But the thing is that this lower half, if you see just the top half, and I don't know if Indigo's actual design used to be like this. I have a small inkling that it used to be earlier when they had the boarding pass. I don't know if it's how it is right now, but it has those nuances which seem very similar to that. But the part below this is something that could have been designed better, right? If you see just the part here from this section, this entire section has come out very nicely, Sahib. And also, he's, I think, the only one who's considered multiple flights. So most of the, in fact, even the existing design on, Digiyatra just shows one boarding pass, and then there are dots which say multiple boarding pass. It could be for the dependent or different flights, but that's not an easy way of navigating, right? So generally, if it's a business trip, it's going to be two ways. I'm going to go and I'm going to come back. I came back by train, so in my case, that was not there. That's why maybe it's not visible there. But in this case, he actually tries to cover that. Where goes the person who's going on a trip on 22nd, returning on 2nd. Only person who's considered that. I think Sonakshi, I think is the next one, is the only person who's considered multiple boarding passes for dependents. I believe it's for dependents that is possible in this app. And also she's put a very nice nudge here that all three credentials, so you can add dependents, assuming one person and two kids or two dependents, have been verified. So this is also a very interesting nudge. This is something that can be added because, as I said, if you don't verify your identity, there's no use of just adding the boarding pass. It doesn't have value, right? So design-wise, this could have been slightly better, but I think the concept-wise, in terms of covering that use case, specific use case, I think she's done a good job. And the last one, I believe this is the last one. Yeah, Supratim. This looks like how it's generated when you book your actual ticket. It doesn't look like a boarding pass, although it has all the elements. It just seems a little busy. But the reason why we like this is because of this, how it works. That panel, this section has come out very nice because, and again, it is relevant to first-time users. After a while, once you, I mean, for business users who travel regularly, this becomes, maybe it could be a dismissible panel, show only one time till the user gets an understanding. But for the person who's doing for the first time, this is actually useful because you don't know what you have to do with this, right? So for example, here, what idea are you getting? What am I supposed to do with this, right? For the first time user, it's going to be a hassle. A small nudge here could have been like, what is the next step, right? You have to go to the gate and scan it or XYZ, whatever is the process. Supratim has done a good job on this. So this was the challenge on Digiyatra. And as I said, the main part is the context and understanding what information you need to show. Once you've done that, things become very, very easy. Just the judging criteria for those who are not on the group or may not have seen it is the prioritization of the info, right? Not just what the information is, but what has to be shown first up. So if you saw the winners, the way they showed that information also matters, right? What information I should show first and what information I can just tone down and show elsewhere is what matters, right? And showing again, this is the point with like what to show and what not to show, and overall design quality, because there were such good quality submissions, right? Obviously, information, the functional part is more important than how it comes out. But if everybody is doing that job well, then obviously the design quality also matters. So this was the challenge on Digiyatra. Fantastic thought on the product, but maybe execution wise, there are a lot of things that they can do better. Hopefully, it will improve as things go along. And data privacy is definitely something. So that poll also is interesting, right? A lot of you are aware of it, not tried it, but I thought a lot of you may not have tried it because of data privacy issues. Do read it up. There is a running thread on that. They've improved, is what they're saying. But yeah, they maybe on that screen also they can say that your data is private and the token expires after whatever, right? For example, if I open the app, I can still see this thing, right? And when I was posting this also, my family member said, why are you putting this information out? So if you scan the original boarding pass, this is not the one. If you scan the original QR, the data comes in open text, which is a big red flag, right? So it should not have been the case. But anyway, I mean, that's for another time and another discussion, more of a product than a design discussion, right? So this was the challenge on Digiyatra. The next one that I'll cover is Swiggy. Now, Swiggy is one of a rare challenge. In fact, the only challenge that we've done, the first and the only challenge that we've done, which is based on copy and nothing to do with design. Of course, there's a design element, but the main part is the copy. And where it comes from is the cancellation policy that they have, or the lack of a cancellation policy. I don't know what this panel, if you have actually used it, whenever it comes on mobile web. Now on the app, it's not there. On the app, in fact, it gets hidden somewhere. So it actually begs to the question needs to be asked: what is the point of showing this cancellation policy at all if most users aren't aware of the policy? Because it is under the fold. If you try out the app, that's what we did. So we said, okay, let's at least as a UX copy thing, we can do it on the web because it still exists on the mobile web. At least when we did the challenge, it did. Today, I don't know if it's there or not. Now, the problem with this is that you need to understand what the policy is in the first place, right? To be able to create better copy. That is the first thing. If you've not understood it, which I was very surprised a lot of folks were not, right? The way it is worded is very confusing. If you choose to cancel, who starts a statement like that on a page, on the checkout page? So it's very poorly designed or created copy from Swiggy. It feels like a stopgap. So earlier they did not have this policy. So you need to understand why they brought it in. Obviously, people might have been canceling, and the rider may have gone to onward towards a restaurant, or the restaurant had started creating the order, or not order, like preparing the food, and then the cancellation happened, and then Swiggy had to pay the money because there was no policy. Then they have brought it in, but at least you could have worded it better. That's the point, right? And a lot of you have done a very good job that clearly shows that this can be simplified into something that the user understands. So this seems like legal verbiage. This happens a lot, and for designers who work with the legal team, you will see that most of the times what happens is the legal part of it is handled at the end. Acha, we'll show it to the legal and get vetting from them. Then legal says that you cannot change one word of this, and no word of it is changed and just dumped on the customer, rather the user. And that kind of seems like what has happened. They said, Acha, let's run with that, and they've run with it. But very good submissions that came through, and I'll cycle through the winners as well as the other ones. I think about 4 or 5 other ones that came through. This was the winning entry from Dheeraj, and what he does well is that he hits the main points. What are the points? The main point is that within 60 seconds, if you cancel, right, then there are no charges, right? But after 60 seconds, there is a full cancellation fee. What that means is that the entire amount you will have to pay, right? I mean, there's no question of acha take a part or part refund, nothing. Everything goes, right? But there's one exception in case, and obviously this is a bit of a dicey thing, right? Swiggy delays the order, which happens a lot, right? This is what they're saying, proclaiming does not happen. Some of you mentioned on the group also, but at least as a policy, it's very, very crystal clear. Now just compare this with what they have, right? What they have presently is nowhere near half as good as what the submissions have come through, right? If you just compare this with what the submissions have come through, clearly they could do a better job. I don't know why they've not. They got such fantastic people at Swiggy. Maybe it's just a miss, maybe it's just a line item, and maybe it's not an important thing for all we know. But as a challenge, it was a fantastic thing for us to do. And the last CTA is also very nice. Confirm order, just go through. It just makes complete common sense. The colors also very subtle. He's not used too much imagery also. Some of you've done that, emojis, etc., etc. Kind of clouds things. But yeah, he's done a good job, well presented, and the copy is spot on, right? Then the next one is from this is from Parth. Good job again. What we liked is the usage of emojis. So the previous one did not have it. The thing is, it keeps the tone a bit informal, which is good, right? Because while Swiggy is a product company and trying to make money, it is also a product which wants to do it in a fun kind of way. It doesn't want to do it like an enterprise, like say a Bharti Airtel, right? Bharti Airtel's cancellation policy will seem like strongly worded. They want to keep it the atmosphere light if you can, and if that is the brief. I think he's done a good job. Another submission has done it, but this one from Parth has come out very nicely. And again, all the main items are covered. Just that the wording, if you just compare Dheeraj and Parth, I think Dheeraj's is slightly better, right? So that kind of nudged it. But yeah, good usage of emojis. Just that this one seems like a ticket. I had a slight issue with that. It's not a ticket that gets cancelled. So maybe for event this works, but for food, maybe food ke upar cross hota, I don't know, or money ke upar cross hota, that might have been a better emoji. Okay, from there we'll go to the other ones quickly. I'm not pointing out faults. I'll just cycle through them so that you can see that when you're looking at the video, so that you get a complete view of all the submissions. This is from Akansha. Again, good usage of emojis, has given headings title, which actually makes a little bit complicated. If it were just the emojis, maybe it was a close second, right? Good work there from Akansha. I think this was from Anshita. Very nicely designed, right? But if you see, design is not what solves the problem here, right? The copy has to be spot on. In fact, the good design actually makes things more difficult, right? Because you have to read through and understand a lot more things. So design-wise, if you just step back and look at the screen, wow, such a nicely designed screen, perfect alignment, perfect shadows, perfect borders, excellent work in terms of design. But in terms of copy, does it actually solve the problem? We felt not. Maybe it's a subjective thing in that case. But yeah, it could have been as copy. If it would be lesser, it would have been better, right? That's the rare case that it is here. But design-wise, fantastic work, Anshita, right? Very interesting submission. This actually I marked Harshad, if you're listening, I marked this as the winner. Like when I saw it for the first time, because I said, wow, what a fantastic concept that he's given multilingual and in English, right? So a lot of apps. In fact, I recently saw Google Play, not a user, but on somebody other's phone, I saw that the help etc. is you can have English in that, right? And I think it makes a lot more sense having English, but just the point on the specific copy actually doesn't solve the problem. Right? So 60 seconds के अंदर cancel कर सकते हैं. उसके बाद this does not feel like a policy, it just feels like information, right? So it has to feel enforced, right? The copy has to improve, but the concept of using English and a switcher between English, Hindi, and Hindi. So maybe this could have been English. I think you've used English, right? Yeah, this should have been English. Is a good concept. That's why we just wanted to highlight. Good work there from Harsha, right? And this is the last one, Kirti. I think this is more about cleanliness of design. The copy again could have been slightly better. We respect your choice to cancel, etc., etc. Okay, get to the point is what I would say, Kirti. But overall, it's much better than what exists. Hence, it's one of the honorable mentions. And this is the last one, which I said that emojis were used in elsewhere also. Good design, good copy. Small issue is that this feels like a timeline. And when the person is looking at it, kya ho jayega? They'll get a little bit more confused, right? So if this timeline wasn't there, and this, I have a slight, maybe today is not the right time, maybe if we are able to meet, this refund as a word, as a tag, might not be the right word to be used everywhere, right? While they do use it once, it's not truly a refund, right? If you have a look at it that way, right? It's a cancellation fee that is charged on the user rather than a refund that is given. Very, very small context to that, right? But yeah, in terms of cleanliness of design, the way it has been laid out, very nicely done. Just the timeline is not right. It's not really a timeline. That's not how exactly it is happening, right? Because the last one is an exception. So it's not like 1, 2, and 3. It's like 1 and 2, and then this is an exception. So if that could have come out via the timeline, maybe, but it's not needed. Makes things more complicated, right? So this was the challenge, and this was from Om, by the way, Om Singh. Good work from you. This was the challenge on Swiggy. Any other points that are there? Just see if there were. Why food copy matters. So, acha, why good copy matters? The point I wanted to make again, just to re-stress on that, is that if you don't focus on that, people don't read it, right? So, in my case, at least I'm sure for most others, once you see that the first time, you don't read the copy at all. Like when I'm doing the challenges, when I know and I've understood, acha, what the policy is. Others still late, I was like, acha, okay, understood, go on. Now that's what happens with not poor copy, but copy that has not been paid attention. People don't care about it and they just move on. And then tomorrow when you tell them, Arey, you should not have cancelled, we are going to charge again, they'll say, kahan likha hai? Although it was there, I have clicked, yes, I understand, and you have the consent, etc., all the timestamp, etc. I truly had not, even till date, till the challenge came, had not read the policy, definitely not understood it, because it was so much of gibberish, right? That is why good copy matters. The other side of it is when you have bad copy, what happens? People don't care about it and people just move through, right? So make sure you have good copy as much as possible. We say that people keep saying it, UX is all about copy, UX is all about it. This is a fantastic example of where it comes through, right? Okay, quickly I'll move through. बहुत कम time है. Spent a lot of time on Digiyatra. I'll move through the last challenge, which is on housing, right? Not the last challenge, in fact, last in this sequence. Now the housing example, I'll just quickly go through this one. Very limited time on this. What has happened with housing is that I remember erstwhile housing, which was when Rahul Yadav, when he actually launched it, used to be the benchmark for design, right? Absolute benchmark. Fantastic work in terms of how it came through and things happened, the way it was designed, the information that they had. And even today, I think they are the largest information source of all these aggregators or rental property kind of sites. But the problem that housing has come to is it has come to the Indian reality of products. अब क्या हो गया है कि if you see the original, if you think about it, the guy who designed, a guy or set of folks who designed, guy, gal, and set of folks, no one would have designed this as the first screen. No one. I mean, who designs such a complicated, congested screen with so many colors, so many nudges? Nobody does that as a first iteration, like first 2, 3 iterations. What must have happened is this: they must have had a very clean, simple design originally, and then realize, acha, ye nudge chahiye, ye nudge chahiye, ye nudge chahiye, we need to add this, we need to add this, and then it's become a raita. There's no other word for it. It is a raita because look at the number of color points that I need to focus on. I need to focus here. They are saying, acha, I'll look here. Then I have to look here. Then I have to look here. Look here. What exactly am I supposed to do? And the CTA colors are different. So one CTA color is green on gray pe green, and one is white on purple or whatever that color is, right? It is a mess. So you need to understand why that mess has happened. They've not designed it this way. It was designed and then improvised basis testing data. So testing, while it helps, it also makes, so companies go through the cycle. They have fantastic design, clean design first up, then the product team gets involved, users have feedback, then business teams get involved, and eventually it becomes a complicated, congested screen. Then again they go through the cycle, clean it up. So I believe they are at the end of the cycle of this product display page. Eventually they'll come to a much cleaner design. But it is a good time then to analyze what I can do better while showing the same set of information. And the output that has come through, I think we had 45 submissions. We were very, very pleasantly surprised. This was that long weekend during Raksha Bandhan and Independence Day. We were like, hardly anybody would submit. But 45 submissions, fantastic. And a lot of them had very, very good quality. So that made me wonder if this was a case study that was given to you, well, to folks, design folks earlier, and if people had already solved it, because a lot of the submissions seem very, very similar. If that is the case, do send me, the context of that case study. Would love to read it up. But a lot of submissions came through and we were very surprised, good quality ones. Anyway, the winner was Arko. The reason being, and I'll just come to the main reasons, is that he's understood what matters to the user. So what matters is, and he's the only one who's done that, in fact, the testimonials matter a lot. Like you put yourself into the psyche of a person who's trying to rent an apartment. He's put up an imagery. So in fact, I don't know if Nishit will be okay with that, but this is where Nishit actually stays, right? This is the entry to his house where he stays. And this is the actual photo. None of you actually, I don't know if he's put in the effort to go and search on Google and done it, or housing already has it, but he's put the actual photo of the property with the board, right? A photo of the person, the agent who's managing it, right? And it's upfront, right? He's given higher priority. Housing also has that, but down somewhere there, right? And testimonials of previous tenants of that place. Of course, har jagah nahi hoga possible, but the concept is very nicely done. So all of these small nudges, and the negotiation one is right close to where I need to do the main job. It's not just randomly put somewhere, right? They have negotiate here, and then the main CTA is down here. The main CTA obviously in this is to talk to the agent, right? And that talking could be either call, but now I believe they want to get it via chat because they have all the data. Like if it's call, you don't have kya baatein hui, kya chat hua. You cannot do NLP. You cannot do understanding of what needs to be nudged and pushed, etc. So maybe chat is the main CTA, but yeah, contact agent suffices. But fantastic work from Arko. His full name is longer. Sorry, Arko, for that. I think Arko sounds good. That's why I'm saying it that way. But yeah, fantastic work. I mean, it was the minute we saw that, yeah, this guy's the winner because everything that was needed is done. Maybe slightly this drop down could have been of a slightly different color. Maybe just this, outline kind of purple. Just one point, if I had to pull out, that is the only one. But very nicely done. As I said, this needs to be highlighted because a lot of the other submissions are also very, very nicely done. So in that context, RQ have done a fantastic job. It's like a winner plus one kind of a submission, right? So fantastic work from you. As you can see, the other one, this is second from Swarnava. Nothing bad about this. In fact, I would say design-wise, it's even cleaner. but she's done a fantastic job. Just that the nudges that he has, right? These ones, the testimonials, the things that matter, the property that is actually there. He just pulls ahead. But design-wise, I think Swarna, a fantastic job. I don't know if you've already done this as a problem statement earlier with maybe Magic Bricks or something else, but every element is very nicely done. One small calm, and this is for everybody, not just Swarnama. These amenities. Now, this sounds great, and if you go to booking site and if you're trying to book a property or even Airbnb, nowadays what has happened is these are given, right? Take furniture, obviously, har jagah nahi hota hai, but most of this is given, right? Water, you expect it's given, right? Rarely will you have ki water is not there, electricity is not there. These are accepted things. When you go to the property and then you find out that water is not 24 hours, it comes morning and evening. Those are parts that you discover when you go there. Because obviously, when you say regulated water supply, and Swarna, I'm not picking you up, it's for everybody, it's true for everyone. It's not truly like that, right? 24 hours regulated water supply nahi hone wala hai. Like it's going to be like 4 घंटा आएगा या फिर at a certain time you'll have some issues, etc. Those are accepted. Parking accepted है कि सबका होगा. So some of these you need to tone down. These are not that important. Earlier, what used to happen is, and this happened during COVID, right? These amenities got a lot of prominence. In fact, a lot of the booking sites, airline sites, all of them still have those nudges that they had, which they introduced during COVID, safety, etc., etc., etc. But as a designer and a product manager, you really need to consider: does this matter to the end user? Because he or she will verify this. They will at the top of the head. I'm not going to say acha security acha, right? Cupboard, for example, you have to see it to believe it, right? So it cannot be just put as an icon. It looks nice, it improves the design, but from an end user's perspective, doesn't actually add value. So maybe this can have lesser precedence. I'm not only talking about this submission, I'm talking about all the websites that do this, and obviously all the other submissions that have done this, right? But as an overall design, fantastic work. I think this is the best design, but yeah, this is the best entry, winning entry, if you can get that, right? Again, this was very close, and this is the point which I said, right? So this one is from Park. I mean, you can reach out to me later. Why is it that this is in dollar? Makes me feel that this was a case study submission done for another challenge, or just a portfolio case study, and he forgot to replace that, or it was a clear miss, right? But it just feels like a case study submission. Very clean design, very nicely done. Nothing to highlight as something that's missing, but as I said, the same points, right? Furnishing, built up area, etc. This the what happens is the user starts ignoring these points because her side mein wahi dikhta, right? So that's a small qualm. But in terms of cleanliness of design, all the information that is needed is shown apart from the agent, which is the main thing to be shown. That's why this did not figure in the top two. The agent information, maybe it's there somewhere, but I cannot see it. But yeah, agent information is the main thing that needs to be shown, which is missing here. Now, this is a fantastic design. Only issue is that these two seem like areas that I need to fill, like upload image, वैसा वाला placeholders that I have to tap this and something gets uploaded and that image gets come. Just the minute you open it, that's what came through our mind. And that's why we said, yeah, something missing. But other details, very nicely done. If you just compare to original housing screenshot that we put up, you can see how he's managed the colors. Their elements are the same, but it's a he, right? Sorry, Rohan. Yeah, Rohan has managed the colors. Very subtly done. Just this panel is something that does not kind of make sense because it looks like something that is tappable and I have to fill in terms of upload or add, right? If you compare to any of the other apps that want to do this, they do it this way, right? And maybe even the choice of this dotted outline, that also kind of indicates that something has to be added. And again, this we are looking the first time we see the screen. Obviously, when you look at it and read the copy, you realize that's not the case. So this was from Rohan. This is from Shekhar. So Shekhar actually was a winner, right? Recent channel. Again, I was trying to find out. So this has been 3 weeks, 2.5 weeks, and I was in Goa at that time when this challenge was happening. What is the issue with this? No particular issue. Just that the first two have a slight edge on it. And I would say the photo gallery, maybe this is not the best way to show it now that I look at it, because the photo gallery needs to be, one image at a time. This kind of doesn't add value in terms of showing it as a, gallery together, 8 images or 6 images together. A scrollable one makes complete sense because that is what everybody is used to. So again, Maya concept, I keep saying it almost every video. The Maya part works a lot of wonders. If you give users something that they understand, it becomes easy for them to then assimilate that. This, again, while all the images are there, the person will not know how to, scroll through that. He'll try to do this, won't happen, then he has to tap it. So why change the behavior? Very minor point, but yeah, we are picking very, very minor points across all the submissions. So that's what I wanted to highlight. Overall, very good design. Quality is good. Again, makes me doubt whether this was a case study submission, because just to create these, like the guys who are looking at it, this and like, how did they do this in such a short time? Just to create these sections and panels is not easy. It takes a little bit of a time. The fact that you guys, if you've done it in 2 days, is appreciable, absolutely, because all of you guys have done a fantastic work on this, right? And this is the last one. I think this is the last one. Yes, this is from Supratim. I think all the elements are fantastic. Just a couple of minor points. I would say the icons that you are used, these seem old right now. I know, I mean, what is old, what is new changes from time. Maybe 1 year from now, this will be the in vogue kind of a thing. But ये थोड़ा सा पुराना लगता है, right? These colored icons are not something that you should be using, especially on an app where you have to do actions. If it was just an information app where I'm just consuming, it's fine. But I have to act on it, right? What happens is the eye goes and sees the color first, right? He'll see this, and thinks this is clickable. We'll try to tap that, right? Very minor point, but if you just compare with the other ones, right? What I'm trying to highlight is only the CTS, whereas what I'm trying to highlight is the icon, which actually does not add much value. So if the icons were slightly, just as how others are in a single color, solid colors, or just one color, right? That would have been great. And you've given a slight gray background. That was not needed. And this is not very visible on this screen. Maybe in the video, it's not that visible. But when you compare with the others, all of this white in a very small point, a subtle point. But when you see 45 submissions and you see one which is gray, it becomes, yes, a cute, right? You need to think why you've given a gray. A gray works great if you have a white on top of that or something that is contrasting on top of that slightly. But gray by default with black text on that, I don't know how it helps, right? Minor point on design doesn't make a huge difference, but yeah, the icons definitely do, especially given that the other submissions were fantastic. But overall, Supratim, good work. All of you guys, all 45 of you, in fact, I would say this had the highest coverage in terms of good quality submissions. So very difficult to choose. All of you have done a good job, but we had to choose only two, and that's why those are the top two winners that we had. So that's pretty much it on these set of challenges. As I said, one remains. I'll see when we can pick that up. One small plug, we are done with this video also. If you have any questions, you can ask now, or you can ask later on the group as well. We'll put the recording up. One small plug, and we posted this on the community. We are hiring for a marketing intern. Basically, these events when we manage, it's not just me and Nishit. We have technology which helps, but yeah, as humans, we need somebody else also to help us. We had a resource earlier, but she had to go to Singapore and study abroad there. She had a fantastic experience, but we want somebody who can, come in and fill for her. It's a marketing ops. It's not a design internship, but there is design related work in that. So if you're a designer who's interested in working with us, understand how we do things, how these events are managed, you'll also learn certain things on product. And obviously there'll be ops, obviously that you cannot escape. But there's a lot of learning in that. That's why I'm sharing this here, because on the message, I'm not able to mention all of these things. There are a few design. In fact, we would love if the person comes and says, I want to create a challenge on XYZ product. Can I draft the problem statement? We'd love that if that happens, if this intern does that. So just a plug on that. Do check out. It's there on the community. And if you're interested, do apply. And we'll see you very, very soon. Okay. Just one message on the chat. Let me just check that. Hi, sir. Can you please give feedback on my submission? Okay. So one-on-one feedback is something that we've not enabled. As you can see, there are 30, 40, 45 submission. Becomes very, very difficult. We'll see how we can enable that. I'll see if I can bring in, earlier we done that, right? For 4 or 5 people, put up slots over the weekend. I'll see if it's possible. Or we'll put up an offering whereby, you can block some time and do it. But right now, one-on-one feedback is very, very difficult to do because it becomes, for 40, if everybody comes and does it, which is what happens, right? But Path, you can definitely message me. I'll see if we can pick it up. But one-on-one is very, very difficult at this point. Okay. That's pretty much from this challenge and these 3-4 challenges. We'll see you very, very soon with the next product. Thanks for, joining in, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye. Good night.